Hi, my name is Nathan. You're watching Nisa Dice, and today I'm taking a look at this game, Butterfly Garden Duel. Butterfly Garden Duel is it's what we sometimes call a print and play game, which basically means that you get the game in the form of an electronic document, you print it out, and maybe you have to supply some generic components like player pieces, etc., to be able to play it. This in particular is from Dr. Finn's Games, and Dr. Finn's Games has this new line of games they're doing that they call Bring Your Own Pencil. So they're basically print and play games, but the only thing you need to add to them, apart from just printing out some materials, is a pencil. That's it. That's the only other component you got to bring to the game. So I went ahead and I printed this game out. I backed it on Kickstarter when it was on Kickstarter a little while ago. I went ahead and printed it out on cardstock, laminated it so I can play with a dry erase marker instead of having to, print out new sheets constantly every time I play it. So I've done that. And what I'm going to do today, it's kind of going to be a quick playthrough because it's a pretty quick game. It's designed for 2 players, hence the duel in the title, Butterfly Garden Duel. But it can also be played solo, so I'm going to be doing a quick solo playthrough of it to kind of give you an idea of what the game is like and sort of the decision processes that you have as you play the game. And then I'm going to give you a brief review at the end of it, all right? So you can skip ahead to the review if you want, but we're going to go right into the playthrough so you can kind of get an idea how the game works, and let's get right to it. Okay, so basically what you have in the solo version of the game, you have this page here, which has a map of the garden with butterflies on it. You can see that there's a sort of like paths between the butterflies. That's important. I'll get to that a little bit later. And you can also see that there's like hedges throughout the garden that sort of block the garden off into various areas, right? And each area has a little signpost that gives it a letter. So each area is lettered, and so that's important. And you also see that in each area, in addition to the butterflies, there's jars. So these are jars, and they'll have a number and a color, and that indicates how many butterflies can be held in that jar and the color of butterflies that go into the jar. All right, so that's basically what you have on this board, and I'll explain in a minute what you're really doing with this board. But over here, you also have a player board. The top part is just kind of a summary of the game. And then over here is where you're actually marking things, right, on your player board. So in a 2-player game, each player would have a board like this. But in the solo game, of course, you just need the one. So the main thing that you're doing over here is as you play the game, you're going to select jars from this map over here. And when you select them over here, you're going to cross them off over here, and then you're going to circle them over here to let you know that you have those jars. You've claimed that jar. The jar is empty, but you have it to fill up. Then you're going to be claiming butterflies over here. And in the solo game, you're always the circle player. So you're going to be circling the butterflies on here as you claim them. And then you're going to basically mark them on here. So let's say I picked up this jar, which can hold 3 of these black butterflies. And then I pick up a black butterfly from over here. I can mark it on here to indicate I've put that in the jar. The reason I want to do that is if I get all 3 of the butterflies to fill the jar, then that jar will be worth 6 points at the end of the game. Different jars are worth different amounts of points depending on the color of butterfly that goes in them and how many butterflies you need to fill the jar. So this is where you're going to get a large part of your points. Also, you have down here this net, which represents this line, which represents your net. So sometimes you catch a butterfly and you don't have a jar to put it into. Or maybe you do have a jar to put it into, but you just don't want to put it in a jar yet. You can put it in your net by just marking a butterfly of that color down here. But you only have so many spaces that you can, essentially fill up with these butterflies in your net. So at some point you have to start putting the butterflies in the jars, right? And then at the end of the game, you're going to mark how many points you got from your jars, the ones that you filled over here. This is going to be a spot where you're going to mark points based on how many butterflies you've connected by paths. So like let's say I claim this butterfly, and then I claim this butterfly, I can mark a path between them. And then let's say I claim this butterfly, I can add that. And let's say I claim this butterfly, I can add that one, right? So I'll have 4 butterflies connected. And it can branch off. Like I claim this one, I can go that way, and then I claim that one, I can, you know, add another branch, you know, connecting that one. And so at the end of the game, you're going to take your largest, you know, area of connected butterflies, and you're going to mark that here, and that's going to be some points too. And then finally, as all the butterflies are being claimed, let's say all the butterflies in this area here get claimed. This is area C. So all the butterflies in zone C get claimed. Then we're going to see how many I claimed versus how many my opponent claimed. Let's say I claimed, you know, 5 of them, and they claimed 2 of them. Then we'll get the difference, which would be 3, and I'll mark that over here next to the letter C. I'll mark 3, and that'll be 3 points for me at the end of the game. If, on the other hand, my opponent had claimed 5 and I had only claimed 2, then I would mark a -3 because they got more than me and the difference was 3, so I'd be -3, so that'd be -3 points at the end of the game. All right, so that's the main thing you're doing, is you're collecting those jars, filling them with butterflies, and getting points for all that. All right, but let's go into the actual gameplay, how it works. So first thing we do is we have this little deck of cards here. We're going to flip over one of these, and there's going to be a few things on here. So the first thing is going to be, oh, you know what? I got to remove 2 of those at the beginning of the game without looking at them. All right, so first thing, there's going to be a number. There's a total of 16 cards. They're all numbered 1 through 16. You know, they have different numbers on each. We've removed 2 randomly, so we know there's 2 numbers that aren't in the deck, but we don't know what those numbers are. And what I'm trying to figure out is, do I want to take this card, or do I want to take the next card? Because that'll be a full round, right? So I'll take a card, and my opponent, which the game calls Rebecca, Rebecca's going to take a card. But I get to choose, do I want to keep this first card, or do I want to let Rebecca have this card, and then I'll have to take the next card that comes out. Okay, so what I'm considering is, one of the things I'm considering is the number. Because when I take a card, I'm going to write that number over here on this line. So there's this line on the bottom, and this tracks basically the rounds of the game. There's 7 rounds unless the game ends early with a loss. So I'm going to put, if I take this card, I'm going to put the 9 in this circle here because I'm the circle player. And then whatever card comes up next, that one's going to go to Rebecca, and I'm going to write the number on that card in the square, and then I'm going to compare them. If my number is lower than Rebecca's number, no big deal, that's great. If her number is lower than mine, then I have to also mark this little X here. And if I mark 4 X's before the end of the game, then I automatically lose. All right, so I don't want to repeatedly go higher than Rebecca in terms of, you know, the number that I choose. So that's one of the things I'm considering. The other thing I'm considering is that if I choose this card, it's going to give me 2 butterflies. I'm going to get to claim 2 butterflies out here, but I'm going to have to choose either the F zone or the E zone. So F zone is right here in the middle, E zone is down here, bottom center. So I'd have to choose one of those 2 zones. I'd get to take a jar from that zone, and then I'd get to take 2 butterflies in this case. All right, these butterflies down here I'm going to ignore in as far as what I would do with the card. Okay, so that's what I'd get out of this card. If I let Rebecca have this card, she's going to get 2 butterflies. She's going to go with F first, right? That'd be her first choice. So she'd go with F. She'd take a jar there. It'd be the jar that holds the most butterflies. F only has 1 option, so she'd take that jar. And then she'd take 2 butterflies from that area, and this would be how she prioritized her picks. So she'd take yellow butterflies first, and then if she still had, you know, right, like in this case, there's only 1 yellow butterfly in that area, so she'd take the yellow butterfly, and then for her second butterfly, she'd go to the second color on the card, which is black. Right, so that would be the priority that she would go with. Okay, so all right, so let's get right into it. I'm going to decide, do I want to take this card for myself, or do I want to give it to Rebecca? Well, it's a 9, which means higher than, well, less than 9, obviously there's 8 possibilities that I could draw, you know, a card that's less than 9. 9 means you've got basically 7 possibilities. So pretty even odds of drawing, because I want to draw a card that's less, preferably. And there's pretty even odds at this point. A slightly better chance that I'll get a lower card if I pass this to Rebecca. But it's pretty even. So now I just wanted to see if, okay, if I give this to Rebecca, she's going to get this jar, and she's going to get the yellow and the black from there. Whereas if I let her go, yeah, that's what she's going to get. All right. I mean, this early in the game, I don't think it matters too much. It really doesn't matter what jars she gets, period, or what butterflies she gets, period, because she doesn't score points for any of that. It only matters because it means I can't get those points, or I can't get those, you know, that jar or those butterflies. So do I want to give that up? If I took it, I could choose either F or E, and I get to pick up 2 butterflies. So, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and take this one for me. So I'm going to mark a 9 over here. And I get to choose F or E, and I'm going to go with, I'm going to get 2 butterflies. I'm going to go with E. I'm going to grab this jar here, which is 3 black butterflies. So I'm going to circle that over here so I know I picked it up. And I get 2 butterflies. I'm going to grab this black butterfly here, and I'm just going to keep it in my net for now. And hold on a second. There we go. All right, so I'm going to just keep that in my net for now, and then I get 1 more butterfly from this area. Let's see. I'm going to go with this red butterfly here, because red butterflies are, like, black are the most rare, and then red, green, and yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up that red one while I can. All right. So that was that. Now this next card is automatically going to go to Rebecca. Oh, she drew a 10. Okay, so that's good. So her number is higher than mine. I don't have to mark an X. She's going to go with B, and so she's going to grab this jar of 4 green butterflies, and she's going to pick up 2 butterflies, and she's going to prioritize red. There's 1 red there. And then she's going to prioritize green, and there's 1 green there. So there we go. All right, so on to the next round. So I drew a 3. Okay, well, there's a pretty good chance that if I take this, she's going to draw a higher number than 3. I only get 1 butterfly, but there's a question mark here for the area, so I could get 1 butterfly from any area. So that's not bad. Let's see. I need another black butterfly, because I have a black jar that I want to fill, and I've got 1 black butterfly so far. I also need a red jar, because I've got 1 red butterfly. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go with A here. Let me write in this 3 first, since I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to grab this jar of 3 red butterflies. Hopefully I can fill that. And I'm going to grab 1 butterfly. I'm going to go ahead and grab this black butterfly here. And I'm going to go ahead and just keep that in my net for now. Okay. So then she's going to get whatever comes out next. Oh, she got a 14. So, yep, she's still way higher than me there. She's going to get 3 butterflies from area C. So first she's going to take that jar of 4 yellows, and then she's going to get 3 butterflies. She's going to prioritize red, so she's going to grab both of these red, and then she's going to go green after that. So now she could take either this green or that green, and I can choose either one that I want her to take. So it doesn't really matter, I don't think. I'll just let her have this one. Okay. All right, next round. Oh, a 1. So if I take this, then she is definitely going to be higher than me. But if I don't take this, then I'm definitely going to be higher than her. So I got to think about that. It's okay if I'm higher than her, you know, from time to time. It just can't be 4 times over the course of the game. So let's see. What would I get? I get 1 butterfly, and it would come from either A or C. So A is over here, and C is over here. Okay, so 1 butterfly from either of those. Well, if I went with A, I could grab this red butterfly, so that would make progress towards filling this red jar. But if I went with C, I could grab this green jar, right? I don't have a green jar yet, so if I pick up some green butterflies later, I don't have anywhere to put them. So grabbing the green jar might be useful, and I could grab this black butterfly, which means that my jar of black butterflies would be, I'd have all the butterflies I need to fill it. So, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab the one, and I'm going to go with this jar. So I'll circle that over here, and I'm going to go with this butterfly. So I'll go ahead and put that in my jar here. All right, and then she's going to get whatever I draw next. She drew a 12. Okay, so I'll just mark that there. She's going to go C if she can. C's just here where I was at, all right? So she doesn't get a jar because both of the jars are already taken. And she's going to get 3 butterflies. And there's only 3 butterflies left there, so she is going to just take what's left. Which means that this area is filled, and she got 5 to my 2, so that's -3 points for me over here. So that is not great. All right, well, next round. Okay, so this is a 16, which means whoever gets this is going to have the highest number, period. This would give me a choice between E and C. So E, all right, C is already full, so there's no point in even considering that. All right, so let me go to E, and it gives me 3 butterflies. I could pick up the 3 green butterflies that are there and just right away fill my green jar. So that's not a bad move. And so far, I haven't had the higher of the 2 numbers on any previous round, so I haven't had to mark any X's, which is pretty good. So yeah, let's go for it. All right, I'm gonna go a 16 here, and I get to grab a jar from here. What jar do I want to grab? You know what, I'll grab the 4 reds. I don't think I'll be able to fill it, but there's no penalty for having it and not filling it. And then I get to grab 3 butterflies, so I'm going to grab these 3 green butterflies. All right, and I've connected 3, butterflies here. I've got 3 butterflies here now that are right, in succession with each other. And I'll use those 3 green butterflies I just got to fill this jar here. All right, so I've filled my first jar. And then she's going to get whatever comes next. She got a 4. All right, obviously I'm going to have to fill in this X there. She's going to go with the B area, which is up here. And she's going to get this jar, cross that off. And she's going to get a black butterfly, the one that's there. Okay. All right. Okay, there we go, next round. All right, so we've got an 11 here. So where are we at with things? If I grab the 11, I can see that the 12 is already taken, the 14 is already taken, and the 16 is already taken, which means there's only a 13 and a 15 possibly that could be higher than this. And there's more that could be lower. So pretty good chance this is going to be the higher of the 2 cards. This would get me two butterflies from the E area, which would be yellow butterflies. I don't have any yellow butterflies yet, but I also don't have a yellow jar yet. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think I'm going to let her have this one because I don't think it's going to do a lot of good for me. So she'll have that one, put in the 11 there. She's going to take this jar. She's going to grab 2 butterflies. There's only yellow butterflies left in there, so it doesn't really matter which one she grabs. I'll just give her this one and this one. All right, and then I'll get whatever comes next. So I got the 8. All right, so I'm lower than her on the numbers. And I get 2 butterflies from area F. Okay, so I'm going to there's only 1 jar in area F. It holds 2 yellow butterflies. So I got that. So I've got somewhere to put yellow butterflies now if I get them. And I get 2 butterflies from that area. So what 2 butterflies do I want? Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. I need 2 red butterflies to fill my red jar. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab those. Okay. All right. And I'll just go ahead and put them in the jar. All right. Looks good. So then, let's see. Next round. Okay, so we have a 6 here. And that would go with the B area, which would be, and 2 butterflies. So if I grab this, I could take those 2 yellow butterflies from the B area. That's all that's left in the B area. And that would fill my yellow jar. So that would just kind of finish that off, you know, no problem. If I did that, though, I would also be finishing off the B area altogether, which means it would score, she would have 3 butterflies from there, and I would only have 2, which means it'd be another negative 1 point for me. So I might not want to do that. But if I let her take this, it's going to be the same thing. Actually, it's going to be a negative 5 points for me, because I won't have anything there. All right, so I better do this. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to get 6 point, or not 6 points, but I'm going to mark 6 there. I'm going to get 2 butterflies from there. It's going to be this one and this one, which fills my yellow jar. And that area is full. That's a negative 1 point for me. Okay, all right, here we go. And then she's going to get whatever comes out next. She got a 5. Okay, which means I got to mark this X here, but I'm good because I've got 2 X's marked, and there's only 1 more round to the game, so I don't have to worry about that. And she's going to get 1 butterfly. It's going to come from D, so she's also going to get one of these jars. She'll take the larger one always. And she's going to prioritize green, so she's going to grab this green butterfly there. Okay. All right, final round. Okay, so I could take this 2, I'd get 1 butterfly from anywhere, basically. So let's see where I'm at here. I have this yellow jar filled and this green jar filled. I have a red jar here with nothing in it, but I'd have to pick up 3 more red butterflies to fill it, and that is not going to happen because there's only 2 red butterflies on the board that are unclaimed. So I can just write that off altogether. I'm not going to be able to fill that. Okay. So there's really I don't really need anything. I have enough to fill what I've got. Okay. I mean, yeah. So I could pick up, this jar possibly. That'd be another black jar that holds 2 butterflies. But then I'd have to pick up 2 butterflies to fill it, and this only gives me 1 butterfly. So, and also, there are still 2 butterflies on the board, but they're in 2 different areas, so there's no way I can get both of them on a single, turn, which is all I have left is 1 turn. So, all right, so basically no point in doing that. All right, so this last turn is basically just, can I maybe add something? So like here, I forgot to mark, I've got those 2 connected. I've got these 2 connected. And then I've got 3 connected over here. So can I add something to my 3 that are connected? Yeah, actually this would be a good place to go. So I'm going to take this, mark a 2 here. I can take 1 butterfly from anywhere, so I'm going to go to E. I'm going to take this yellow butterfly, which will just go in my net, and that lets me connect that. So now I have 4 connections over here, 4 butterflies connected, and I've filled this entire area. All those butterflies have been taken, and I had 4, 5 versus their 3, so that's 2 points for me in that area. Okay, and then whatever comes next is Rebecca's. All right, 13 over there. She gets 3 butterflies from area A, and so she took that jar, and she's going to prioritize yellow. So there's 3 yellow butterflies there. She'll just take all 3. Okay, there we go. So that is all done, and we are done with this. The only thing I need to take note of here is my largest connection was 4, so I'll mark that over here. All right, And over here, let's see, we had a total of -4 versus a +2, so -2 is our final score from that. All right. Okay, so let's just go ahead and fill up jars from our net if we have anything left over here, which we do. So we had 2 black butterflies in the net, 1 red butterfly in the net, and 1 yellow butterfly in the net that we can't do anything with. All right, so then we just look at the jars that we filled. So we were able to fill this jar, which is worth 6 points, this jar, which is worth 5, and this jar, which is worth 4, so that's 15 right there, and then this one, which is worth 2, so 17. All right, and we'll just put that down here. Add up all these, so let's see, 17 minus 2 is 15, plus 4 is 19. 19 is my total score. All right, so that's it. If I had, the only way you can really lose is if you have to mark 4 X's. Otherwise, you're just looking at what your total score is and you're trying to beat, you know, previous scores, which my high score I think is like 32 or something like that. So I didn't get any even close to it in this game. I just got a 19, which is, you know, tolerably good. I also didn't take a lot of risks. I played pretty conservatively, so I think, you know, when you take more risks, you can possibly get higher scores. But when you play conservatively, it's going to be a little more difficult. So anyway, that's a quick playthrough of it. Let's go back up top and I'll give you some thoughts. All right, so that was Butterfly Garden Duel. This is just a box that I happen to have, and I made a nice little sort of cover for it after I printed everything out. There will be a link in the description here. If you want to check out this game, you can go to Dr. Finn's Games website and get more information on it there. Also, this is the second game in the series. The first game was Mining Colony Duel, which was similar, you know, just material that you print out, bring your own pencil, or like I do, laminate everything and use dry erase. And that one was also 2 players or solo. So I'll just start off by saying, out of the 2 in the series so far, Mining Colony Duel or Butterfly Garden Duel, I liked Mining Colony Duel better. It just the mechanisms of it were more interesting to me. But this is not a bad game. I do like the overall simplicity of it. You know, you're just, especially in the solo game, which is all I have experience with, to be honest. I haven't tried the 2-player yet. I haven't had the chance. But as a solo game, you know, it's pretty nice how you're flipping over these cards. With each new round, you're kind of looking at one choice and sort of weighing, well, what are the pros if I take this? What can I accomplish with this? Could I possibly accomplish something better with another card that might still come up? If I take this card, the value on the card versus the probable value on the next card, am I going to be okay with that? Or is that going to mess me up? Is it going to make me mark an X and get closer to losing the game? Right, so that's always an interesting decision space where you're trying to and you can always see what numbers have already been pulled, you know, so you can see, you don't have perfect knowledge because there's 2 cards that are taken out of the games and you don't know what those were. So you don't have perfect knowledge, but you always have, you know, you can always kind of evaluate, well, what are the odds of drawing a higher number or a lower number with the next card. So that's kind of cool. You know, and overall it's pretty simple. You're trying to get those jars. You got to get the jars first so that you can start filling them up, and then you have to fill them up in order for them to be worth any points. So that's another decision space where you have a choice between jars. You get to you kind of have to contemplate, like, well, if I take this jar, it's going to be worth more points, but what are the chances I can actually fill it and get those points versus maybe take a jar that's worth fewer points, but it's more, you know, a guaranteed thing that I can fill it. Having that line that you can sort of fill up, that's your net, where you can kind of keep those butterflies in reserve before you have to put them into jars. That's a nice little thing that helps you kind of manage some of the risk and, you know, risk versus loss element to it. So that's pretty cool. There's also a number of variants, 4 different variants that come with the game. None of the variants change the game dramatically, like it's still basically the same game. Each variant just adds one little extra way that you can score some points. And it gives you something to, you know, kind of keep the game interesting over multiple plays. But again, doesn't change the game dramatically. It'll still be essentially the same experience. So, I don't have a lot to say about the game. It is a fine game. I enjoyed it. It's not a game that I'm going to come back to over and over again, but I do like that it's quick to set up. It plays pretty quickly, and it keeps me engaged the entire time, you know? Every turn you're making decisions and trying to maximize the points that you're going to get at the end of the game. And there's multiple things to consider, right? Like I showed you, you're trying to get those jars, you're trying to fill them with butterflies, but also where you take the butterflies on the board matters, because you can get points by having those connections between adjacent butterflies. And I've had a network of like 9 or 10 before, so that's a pretty big chunk of points there. And then also there's kind of like that sort of area control element where like each of those zones, when it gets filled, you compare how many of those butterflies you took versus how many your opponent took, and you can either gain or lose points based on that. So you have to consider that as well. So there's, you know, at least 3 different things you're considering when you're weighing your decisions, and that keeps it engaging from beginning to end. Also, I like the length of the game. It's 7 rounds if you don't lose before that. I've never really had a game where I lost, because again, you can usually sort of predict at least the probabilities of the cards coming out and take that into account. So it's not a game where, I mean, you're not going to lose unless you take some big risks, right? So I've never actually lost the game, and yet, you know, playing the full 7 rounds every time I've played, I've never felt like the game goes on longer than I want it to. So, yeah, so overall, excellent little nice sort of filler solo game. Those are my thoughts on Butterfly Garden Duel. Again, link in the description if you want to check out this game on Dr. Finn's website. But also, I'll put a link to my review of the first game in the series if you want to see what that was like. My name is Nathan. You're watching Nice at Dice. Thank you so much for watching, and you enjoy the rest of your day.